guys, I'm Jeralyn Johnson with APSU-TV show The Verdict. This year, first and foremost, we want to wish you a safe and happy Halloween. Make sure you're wearing your masks, both scary and N95. This week we are talking about some potentially gruesome and some triggersome material. We are talking about serial killers and whether these serial killers in these films are fictional or not. They still pose some gruesome material, and they can be quite harmful to other people as those who may have experienced such tragedies. So we just want to give you a warning before you continue watching this episode. Continue with caution. We call this Twisted History, and we're going to explore some serial killer biopics. And like I said, some are fictional and some are not. They're just based on true stories. But take that as a warning and make sure that you're being safe by proceeding whichever way you feel you need to. But that, like I said, proceed with caution.
Here to get you in the mood for Halloween than serial killer stories. Or are they just stories? This week on The Verdict, we will be discussing the twisted history of Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and more. Welcome to The Verdict. I'm Marissa England.
I'm Shane Martin.
I'm Kayla Benson. This 1991 film is based on the book series by Thomas Harris that follows a cannibalistic serial killer. We follow Agent Clarice Starling in her FBI training as she helps solve the case in finding the serial killer Buffalo Bill. To understand the killer, Starling receives aid from the infamously imprisoned serial killer, Dr. Hannibal Lecter. With further ado, all good things to those who wait. So let's watch the trailer.
You spook easily, Starling?
Not yet, sir.
He's past the others. The last cell. I'll be watching. You'll do fine.
A killer is on the loose.
Keeps them alive for 3 days. Then he shoots them, skins them, and dumps them.
A rookie FBI agent is on his trail.
He's got real physical strength, cautious, precise, and he's never impulsive. He'll never stop.
But in order to track him down, she'll have to match wits.
I'll help you catch him, Clary.
Believe me, you don't want Hannibal Lecter inside your head.
With the darkest of all minds.
Just do your job, but never forget what he is.
But he's a monster. Pure psychopath. So rare to capture one alive.
So close to the way you're gonna catch him. Do you realize that? Oh, Clarice, your problem is you need to get more fun out of life.
You told me you don't spook easily.
You call this easy, sir?
Lecter's missing an arm.
Man's a raving maniac. Who knows what he'll do?
Thank you, Clary. Thank you.
So, like, Silence of the Lambs.
I mean, I really like this one.
This is a classic right here.
It was a movie that my mom showed me, ironically enough. Like, she knew that I listened to serial killer podcasts, like, on the side. And I was telling her, or she was invited me into the living room one night. She's like, have you ever seen Silence of the Lambs? And I was like, no. She's like, I've got to show you. Because this movie came out before I was born.
Yeah, my mom pretty much did the same thing. She's been recommending this movie to me for a while, and I never got around to watching it until like this week. But it's actually really good. I liked how they did like the whole 2 serial killer thing. There's gonna be spoilers, but I was kind of confused as to what happened to Hannibal. But then obviously at the end he kind of explains what happens, which I really like the way he ended it with saying he was going to have dinner with a friend, or he's going to have his friend for dinner or something like that. And I was like, that's funny. That's good comedy right there. One thing that I like that's, I guess, different from the other two is that this one is actually more of a, well, it's obviously a made-up character, but when I was like researching, apparently Harris used a bunch of different like people as inspiration. One of the people that we're going to talk about was an inspiration for him for Buffalo, like Ted Bundy, because he did the whole the cast thing to get people to help. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they like used multiple people for the character, you know?
I don't remember the serial killer's name specifically. Like, I know I mentioned him, like, in the group chat. But there was a killer in England, like, which I'm pretty sure is where they got, like, the confinement inspiration for it. Because the specific serial killer, he actually had to, he was kept in the glass cage, like Hannibal was. Which, for being a 1991 movie, it was really well done.
Yeah, I mean, there was some parts where like the like dialogue was a little, you know, weird, but at the same time, I mean, they're playing, you know, serial killers, so I guess it makes sense.
You can't deny Anthony Hopkins' performance though with his dialogue. It was perfect. Like what I like about Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal in this movie is that he's like, obviously he's a serial killer, but he's very cunning. He knows his stuff. Like, he's not stupid. Like, he knows how to get stuff done, like what you mentioned before with Ed Gein just wearing the skin of his victims. Like, you saw how, like, when he was beating those two security guards to death and cut the face off, like, the way how I see it, scenes like that are kind of like an art. Like, I see it as an art. Like, you see how he's just relishing in the moment, seeing it as like a melody or so. And then like the big reveal is like he's in the hospital, in the ambulance car, and all of a sudden you see, whoa, he cut that dude's face off. Like, this dude, and in the later movies, like, you see how intelligent he really is. But this movie is just like the beginning of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. What I do appreciate is that this actor kind of stuck with his character as opposed to being like, kind of like, which we can address this more, you know, once we get to Ted Bundy and all that. Like Zac Efron, he was stuck in that role of like Troy Bolton until somehow he broke out of it. This was an actor that was like, I played Hannibal before and I'm going to play him again. Which, if you do watch the later movies, I know that we're not discussing them. I appreciate how gory they get, almost. Because, like, you don't see that in films nowadays.
Yeah, especially the parts with, what was it, the boars at the end of one of the movies?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch them. I only watched, like, the first one, but I didn't even know that there was multiple ones. I did know that there was multiple books, but...
It's like Silence of the Lambs, and then, like, it's a pun off of Lambs. I don't remember the name specifically, but... Silence of the Lambs, like, I can understand, like, why our parents have kind of, like, held on to it for so long. Because it seems like there's, like, kind of a trend where, like, our parents are the ones that were watching it, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're watching Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes is when the girl, like, took the dog, because, like, she knew that while he didn't, like, connect her as a person, because he kept calling her it, like, with the, it rubs the lotion on her or something like that.
It puts the lotion on her skin or something like that.
Yeah, but like...
I forgot how the whole phrase goes.
Yeah, it's that one, the lotion one, but he kept referring to her as it, but then she knew that he liked the dog, so that was what got her, like, what was it? That is pretty much what spared her more time, because she knew that he had a connection to the dog, and I thought, you know, that was really smart, because usually in horror movies, it's always like the girl that is getting, you know, murdered or something is always like really stupid and like waste time, but she actually like used what she had, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, they made it to where the victim wasn't dumb, which is good.
They also did that with Sterling, which I appreciate, because like this was kind of getting into that time where like femininity was starting to get pushed forward, or like the feminism movement just in general. So like seeing that this character was like this person to go in, be the lead detective, be the person to interrogate the serial killer, and come out with a connection with him on top of that, like, mind blowing, man.
One of my favorite scenes is when she like called out, I think it's Crawford, is that how you pronounce it? And she was like, well, what you say in front of cops matters. And I was like, yes, go girl, tell him. Because obviously he knew that she was, you know, pretty mad about it. But at the same time, you know, I understand where he was coming from, like, to get what he needed. But at the same time, it was a win-lose kind of situation.
Well, now that we've got one famous serial killer out of the way, even though he was fictional, let me ask you guys this. When you were in high school, did you ever see one of your classmates and think, that guy's going to be a serial killer one day? Well, that's what John Backdorf probably thought when he went to the same school as serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer and was even friends with him at one point. Based on Backdorf's graphic novel of the same name, this next movie looks into the adolescent lives of Dahmer and Backdorf before the former became one of the most feared serial killers. So sit back and have a taste, not literally, of My Friend Dahmer.
Hi, honey. How was school?
It was great. Out of the way, Dahmer, you dumbass.
What's the deal with Dahmer? I think he's kind of hilarious.
Who keeps making that sound?
I think we should form a Dahmer fan club.
What?
Yeah, like Dahmer can really go out in style. Yeah, and infamy.
How'd you do that? I just wanted to see what its insides looked like.
Jeff's a little off, you know?
Why are you doing this? It interests me.
We need to talk.
You need to get out of your shell.
Jeff, enough.
Are you sexually active?
Sort of. Do you want to go to the prom? You want to seem normal, right?
You seem healthy to me.
What about what's on a patient's mind? Are you okay? Why don't you just leave him alone? He's not a sideshow attraction. I'm just like anybody else.
I appreciate the pun.
Yeah.
It was well deserved.
I just had to put that in there.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie. Like, I watched this movie with my roommate last night, and me and her both agreed that this movie, it left a lot. Like, it was a little disappointing to me anyway.
I mean, that's fine. It's the thing is, the reason why I personally liked it is because it was pretty accurate with the graphic novel. And I read the graphic novel when I was in high school. Like, literally, my school library had the graphic novel. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe they have stuff like this here. But, a lot of things were accurate from the book, such as him taking the animals, him hanging out with his friends, if you want to call them that, him having, like, his little fake spaz attacks throughout the hallway to get attention. A lot of things were very accurate to the graphic novel. It basically kind of looks to see the viewpoints of Dahmer in his childhood, going through his demons. Like, the thing is, he even mentions this in the graphic novel, I believe. He's not trying to see Dahmer as a sympathetic character, someone you feel sorry for, or, like, excuse his actions or anything like that. it shows basically somebody who were teenagers like us, who went to high school, but went through certain things that could have triggered those events in his life.
I think the main reason why this movie kind of like, and I like, this is no disrespect to like the novel, to the victims or anything like that. Just the movie itself seemed to be really slow. Like it really seemed to pull and pull and pull. Like because I watched like a little bit of it last night and a little bit of it today, just because like it was a 2-hour movie and I had to do some homework, like college kids do. And even like me and her agreed, we were like an hour in and we felt like we were still like in the setup of the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can kind of see that because honestly, I kept track of the time of the movie the entire time, and an hour in was when I believe when they started being friends with Dahmer just for their own amusement. I'm like, oh, it's an hour in and we're already at that point? Because they focus a lot on his like home background in the beginning.
I don't know, it just felt like it took a while to get to, because to me the climax of this film felt like it was, you know, the divorce per se. I felt like maybe like an hour and 15 minutes in is when the climax of this movie hit, and then it was over.
Yeah, because like, to be honest, the only reason why I didn't take a break while watching it, I'm gonna be honest, I only stayed because Ross Lynch, and then I don't know what the other dude was from, but I know he was in a different horror movie, but I also like him as an actor. But yeah, that's pretty much like the only way I didn't take a break while watching it, because I was like, oh, yeah, Ross Lynch. But I mean, I think he did play him pretty well, I guess. There was some times where they like, it was just like really awkward. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I got secondhand embarrassment the first time he did that little spaz thing. That's like the only time I had to pause it and walk away, because I can't. Because I was like, I definitely know some people that would probably do stuff like that just for attention, and I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
and I think it was supposed to make you feel awkward that way, because the thing is, at least according to Backder, that's exactly what he did in high school. He would always have spaz attacks or run around acting like a crazy person, just mainly for attention, but also for their own amusement. And interesting thing, I did some research after I watched this movie, and the actor, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, the actor who played teenage Dahmer, he actually went around, I know you just mentioned it, but I'm terrible with remembering names, but the actor actually went around and talked to people who, Ross Lynch, thank you, he talked to people who went to high school with Dahmer, their experiences with him, so he could get more into the character after they described how he is. And another interesting thing is when they were actually at Dahmer's old house, where he grew up in, him and the actor who played teenage Backderf, they actually cursed out Dahmer's name, and right after they got done, all the lights in the building went off right away.
Nope.
It's the ghost of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Can we just address the fact that for some weird reason they're recruiting Disney stars?
Yeah.
Serial killers?
Because what Disney show was Ross Lynch in? What was it?
Austin Nally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was about to say it too, so.
No. Thank you for answering. I'm like, these are the same guys from shows I used to watch when I was a teenager. What are they doing in this?
Right. Like, they were on air not too long ago. And then, like, you got Zac Efron playing all these cute characters. Like, he was High School Musical, what his most known role. But then, like, The Greatest Showman. He was on freaking Sweet Life on Deck on Disney Channel. Like, and then all of a sudden they were just like, let's make them serial killers.
This is the dark side that Disney doesn't want you to know about.
Which I fully understand that most of it's based on the appearance. Because, like, Zac Efron looks surprisingly like Ted Bundy. Disney After Dark. I like it.
Yeah.
Like Disney's Adult Swim.
Oh, no. And like Ross Lynch, I don't think he looks as much like Jeffrey Dahmer, but I'm guessing like as close as you can get.
Yeah, me and my sister actually like compared pictures of him just to see, and we were like, yeah, they don't look anything like it. But I think like the point wasn't it because I think the only reason why they do like cuter people is because I don't know if it's still like a thing, but like on Tumblr, how people were like obsessed with serial killers, but in like a bad way. So I don't know if that was like trying to appeal to them, but hopefully not his.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being fangirls in a bad way, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile takes us into the life of serial killer Ted Bundy. This film premiered in January of last year and sparked a massive interest in the United States. While the film is written from his ex-girlfriend's perspective, we learn things from his relationship up until he is convicted in court. This movie takes us on a ride of how charming and manipulative this man really could be. Let's take a look at the trailer now.
That guy's been staring at you all night.
What do you say we get out of here?
What is it about this guy? When I feel his love, I feel like I'm on top of the world.
There are things you don't know.
Hi, officer. I think I must be lost.
That will shock you beyond your worst nightmare. I am innocent. You don't actually believe this garbage, do you?
It's in all the papers, Ted.
Ted! Monkey! Oh!
How did his name get on that suspect list? I want to come see you.
I was really hoping you'd say that.
This case is about catching a monster.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am that innocent suspect.
You are skating on thin ice, partner.
The media has convicted Ted before he's had his day in court.
I'm gagged, and you're not.
I wonder whether he did it or not.
I'm more popular than Disney World.
Did you do these things?
Absolutely not. Let's get back to plotting my escape here.
Okay, I hate that they did this to my boy Zach. Which, I liked this movie a lot better than I liked My Friend Dahmer, just because I felt like it moved a lot smoother.
Honestly, it did. I can agree with you on that.
I was gonna say, like, I agree. The only reason why I liked this one more is because it kind of got, like, into the killing part quickly, you know? I think I
will
just
say
liked
the
the
thing
darker
that kind of
stuff.
like shook me about these two movies was like the killing was never part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like they both addressed it a little bit. Like in My Friend Dahmer, they were like, "Oh, this person died and was never seen again." And
Or
then
the blood on the fingernails too.
yeah. And then with I'm just gonna call it Extremely Wicked just because it's a very long title. but with Extremely Wicked, it was mostly about, you know, Ted Bundy getting caught. This was post-murders, pretty much. And we didn't really get to see minutes when he hit a girl with a crowbar, and that's all we saw. So, like, I think that was an interesting take for these movies, was they were like, oh, let's not focus on the killings. Let's focus on this and that.
Another, like, interesting thing that I liked about it, other than while they like addressed it, like the killing and stuff, it was also both, well, technically all three movies are from a different perspective than the killer, which I thought was interesting. So like obviously Dahmer was I always forget how to pronounce his name, Baxter. Yeah. And then, you know, Extremely Wicked is from the ex-girlfriend, and then I guess technically the Hannibal one is from the detective's like or perspective, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I like that it's like outside of the killer than like how normally horror movies try to go and aim for like the killer's point of view. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Which I kind of like the way that we did this, because the order was kind of like, oh, this was from the 90s, this was from 2017, this one was from 2019, because this one didn't debut until, like, it was on Netflix, or I think it was March 2019, March or May 2019. And then, like, I don't know, I guess you can kind of see how the films grew a little bit.
Yeah, just like in the different times, and not to mention like because my friend Dahmer, the way how he described it was during his teenage years in high school, but that was back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with Ted Bundy, because that took place in 1970s as well. So you can see how dated everything looks back then. Because like, for example, Jeffrey Dahmer, you've got teenage Bacter wearing a National Lampoon t-shirt. That's as 70s as you can get. With Ted Bundy, you've got like the aesthetic. You've got like the house style that was, yeah. You've got that. You've got the house style. You've got the different cars. You saw how people dressed back then, like. Just the 70s aesthetic of these movies showcase how dated they look.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but just for the theme of it.
Yeah, and I think like as at least with shockingly or extremely wicked, shockingly evil, whatever. There's a lot of words. I do really appreciate like kind of how much they stuck to the case. Because like doing some research like on the Ted Bundy case and stuff like that, they actually followed it pretty well as far as like him getting caught and stuff like that, because it was true. The whole reason that they found Ted Bundy was because he got pulled over because of a speeding ticket. Which I think is absolutely hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, it's like
oh, I'm a serial killer and I got caught because of a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
My serial killer days ended right when I got pulled over for speeding. That's
for doing 35 and of 20.
Oh my.
But I don't know. Like I feel like I know that my friend Dahmer was kind of stuck off of a novel, but Extremely Wicked, like the title of it is basically what the judge said pretty much after he got sentenced, which is why Netflix chose this specific name. But they stuck to the case details as well as the ex-girlfriend's perspective, because this was also based off of Liz's memoir. I did see that side by side pretty like right after the movie came out of Ted Bundy in the courtroom arguing with the lawyer, and Zac Efron did it the exact same.
I was impressed with that part. Zac Efron did a really good job.
I was like, that was impressive. I do also want to kind of mention what our producer was saying, monetizing on tragedy. Because that kind of is like, there is like a backhand to all of this as far as like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy is concerned, because there were real victims and very real families that were affected by this.
I also saw like some things with Hannibal, the Buffalo Bill, and like it like caused a really big backlash on like the LGBT community and stuff because of how they portrayed it. And but at the same time, this was made during the 70s, or well, happening during the 70s. So of course, it's gonna have more of a negative view on it. And hopefully, like today, people are able to watch movies and understand, like, hey, this isn't what we think now. It's just what they thought then. But you know,
with Dahmer's case, like for example, the part when he got to see the doctor, and you saw how uncomfortable the doctor looked when he
noticed.
Yeah, I thank you for providing a more PG term.
Noticed. Tune in next week for some spooky comedies. Ooh. And enjoy your spooky season. Tune in next week.
Ooh.